We never get sick of that melody, do we, Auntie? Absolutely, positively. No. Welcome back and happy Saturday, friends. I know we have the show a day late today, but better late than never is what they always say. And we had to cancel the show for yesterday because a family member needed to go to the doctor. They're okay, but as your mommies and daddies might have told you, we had to hold it off. But we're glad to have you today, and we're going to have that normal show that we're going to have yesterday. We're wrapping up this week talking about warmth. That's what we've been talking about all day. W-A-R-M, warm. Or T-H at the end. T-H at the end makes warmth. W-A-R-M-T-H, warmth. You know, when I'm inside the human body, it is very warm in there. Why is it so warm on the inside of the human body? Well, because all the blood and everything is flowing and going through, and your body lets off this natural heat so that it can keep you alive and well. You're warm on the inside. Trust me, I know. I'm an antibody. Very well said, Auntie. Do you ever get too warm in there? Nah, I'm built to handle it. Well, very cool, very cool. So I was wondering what kind of warm things you got out here. Your room is obviously warm. It's very warm. Doesn't make my fur sticky. For some reason, when I came out of the human body, I grew fur for some reason. The other day, I got called a Furby or something like that. They think you look like a little bit like a toy that's furry. So that's what that was all about. Oh, I see. Okay, cool. Yeah. Well, I mean, I know that I'm awfully cute. They must have been cute too. I would have taken it as a compliment. Well, anyway, it's nice to have fur. I'll keep warm all the time. But I noticed that if it's too warm, my fur gets all sticky and hot. I probably like your pets at home. If you have any dogs or cats, when they get overheated, they get really, really hot. Our dog Rocky has an easy time with the heat when he's outside, as long as we've given him a shave. Oh, because he has hair and not fur, then it's easier for him to keep warm and comfortable and cool. See, when it's warm outside, it's important to keep your own body temperature as balanced as possible, because if you're too warm, it doesn't feel good. But if you're too cold, it doesn't feel good either. And we're going to talk about different types of warmth. Yeah, I'm going to get me my front row seat. Okay, see you later. Wait. Oh, just jumping out of my arms like that. Whew. Yes, we will talk about different kinds of warmth today. Perhaps you've already noticed that Miss Mithril is wearing short sleeves today. Are you wearing short sleeves or long sleeves today? Take a look at your arms. What do you think? What you wearing? If your sleeves go up to here, that's what you call long sleeves. And usually you wear that at colder times, maybe in the winter or the fall, to keep warm. But when it becomes very warm outside, we wear short sleeves so that we can maintain that warmth and keep it balanced. And we can feel comfortable. There are other ways to keep ourselves protected from the natural warmth. In fact, let me fix this a little bit, sorry. In fact, that's a little bit of what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about natural types of warmth. Okay? And what I mean by natural is, like Auntie explained, on the inside of our bodies are naturally warm. That means they're warm all the time to keep us alive and well and happy. And we have to keep that balanced. Now, unnatural warmths are things that we can control. Like, for example, can I control the sun? What do you think? Can we decide how hot the sun's going to be today? No, we can't decide that. Can we decide how hot something is if we cook it? Yes. And that's very important. This is why whenever you're wanting to cook with mom or dad or your family, you always have an idea of how to stay safe inside of the kitchen. Because when you're cooking something, if it gets too warm, you can ruin it and not enjoy it. which is going to lead me into my book that we're going to read today. Oh, but speaking of book, we need to do our schedule and what else? Time, that's right. All right, let's take a look at our schedule. So the first thing we're going to do today is our story. Number 1, story. Number 2, we're going to do today is the fun thing. Number 2, fun thing. And number 3, we're going to do our tale. At the end, that's number 3. All right, let's get that little X. Plop it on story. All right, real fast. Let's get time out of the way. All right, what color does red mean? That's our hour. Very good. And what is blue? The minutes. Right now, the hour is 12. Oops. I put on lotion not too long ago, so I was come on. Oh, when you put on too much lotion on your hands, it could be hard to mess with things, but I thought I had dried it off enough. Okay, so 12 is this number up here at the very top. 1, 2. Together makes 12. And then we're going to move that red hand from the 11 to the 12. And it is 12:57. It's almost 1 o'clock. Wow, we are really late today, huh? All right, and the 55 is all the way over here. So let's do our times tables real quick. Ready? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60. All right, so we're going to move that big hand all the way up here to the 11. Move it right here. And that's what is 12:57, actually, technically speaking. I'm going to move that a little bit because soon is going to be on the 1. But this is 12:57. All right, we have now seen it digitally and analogically. Okay, that's not really a word. It's just Mr. Mythil being silly. In analog format. And you know how usually we put an A after it if it's the morning time? Now it's about to be the afternoon time, so we put a P. So we have 12:57. That's what time it is right now. Alrighty. Hello, friends. Nice to see you. Hi in the chat. Welcome. Alright. So that's time. Alright, so about that book I was going to tell you about. Where'd it go? I just had it. Oh, here it is. This story is called I Know an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Pie. Now, a pie is something that we can control the heat when we're making it. And this is what I mean by unnatural heat. We use the heat in our kitchen to make things that we want to eat, such as pies or cakes or even your dinner. You know, yummy things like spaghetti and meatballs or fish and chips or tacos. We all need heat to heat up our certain foods. Some foods we don't, but most of them we do. So we're going to read about the little old lady who swallowed a pie. Let's see what happens. I Know an Old Lady Who Swallowed a Pie by Allison Jackson. Pictures by Judith Byron Shanner. I know an old lady who swallowed a pie, a Thanksgiving pie, which really was too dry. Perhaps she'll die. Ooh. I know an old lady who swallowed some cider. See that big jug she has? That's what you call cider. It's kind of like not a spiced drink that kind of tastes like apple juice, just with a little bit more spice to it, like cinnamon spice. That rumbled and mumbled and grumbled in cider. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie which really was too dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed a roll. just swallowed it whole, the entire roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed a squash. You see that yellow thing there that the little girl's holding? That's a squash. It's a type of vegetable. Oh my gosh, a fat yellow squash! She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know a little lady who swallowed a salad. Yeah, salad's one of those foods that I don't think you have to heat up. No, not usually. Not unless you want to add grilled chicken to it. Yeah, but you grill the chicken. The rest of it you leave alone. She was looking quite pallid from eating that salad. My. She swallowed the salad to go with the squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, that Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed a turkey. Oh goodness, look how big that turkey is. It's so big that Daddy needs 2 hands to cover it. Her future looked murky after that turkey. She swallowed the turkey to go with the salad. She swallowed the salad to go with the squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, the Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Gee, she ate it all. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed a pot. Oh, I want that one. Oh my. I kid you not. She swallowed a pot. How? She swallowed the pot to go with the turkey. She swallowed the turkey to go with the salad. She swallowed the salad to go with the squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, that Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. Oh no. I know an old lady who swallowed a cake. Mm. Mm, mm, mm. For goodness sake, a 10-layer cake. She swallowed the cake to go with the pot. She swallowed the pot to go with the turkey. She swallowed the turkey to go with the salad. She swallowed the salad to go with the squash. She swallowed the squash to go with the roll. She swallowed the roll to go with the cider that rumbled and mumbled and grumbled inside her. She swallowed the cider to moisten the pie, that Thanksgiving pie, which was really too dry. Perhaps she'll die. I know an old lady who swallowed some bread. What's happening to the little old lady? She's not so little anymore. What happened to her? She got bigger. I'm full, she said. Happy Thanksgiving. And they turned her into a blimp. Whew. I'm glad she ended up being okay. Me too, Angie. Whoa. We sure did see a lot of different kinds of foods in there. Can you remember what foods there were in there that they had to heat up to make really, really hot? Not just warm. Maybe when it came out of the oven it was warm. But what things were they going to eat before the little old lady got to them that was warm? The turkey. Mm-hmm. The roll. At one point, yes. The pie, definitely. The cake. Cakes can be warm. That's 4 things. Was there anything else? Sometimes cider can be warm. Apple cider, when you heat it up really, really good and you're careful not to let it evaporate, oh, it's like having a nice warm hot tea or hot coffee. I like coffee. On that note, speaking of which, check out the earrings I have today. I have little coffee cup earrings. And there's a little spoon that goes with it too. And that's something that we can have that's warm. All right. I do hope you enjoyed that stupendous story. Now, without further ado, let's move on to the schedule for our next activity, which is fun! So we take the X, we're going to move it down here to the fun part, and you got your check off fingers for me? You ready to do that check mark with me? Do it nice and high in the air. I'm going to do it with a green marker today. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and check. Story time is done. Excellent. All right, so for our activity today, we're going to have a discussion. That means we're going to talk. All right, so we've been discussing some things that are warm. Oh, one of the other warm things that are an unnatural warmth that we have to make warm ourselves when we make bread. Do you like bread? What do you like to do with your bread? There are all sorts of tasty ways to enjoy it. You can put it into the toaster and let it heat up just a little bit so it gets crispy. You can put honey on it or butter, make it taste really yummy. And on that note, I want to introduce you to my favorite cat pillow. This is Monsina. I just messed with his name. It used to be Cinnamon because he's a cinnamon cat roll. See his kitty cat face? And part of this white part makes his ears. He's my nice, warm, snuggly pillow. But today he's showing us an example of one of the things that we can make warm that we can eat and enjoy. Alright, just put him right there. Okay, so another way that we can be warm when we go outside. If it's windy outside but it's still warm, something we can do is get ourselves a nice little vestment like this. And this is what you call a vest. You just put it on like this. And check out this. This is my most favorite vest with a hoodie because I can do this. Where'd Miss Mithra go? Look at the cool furry fuzzy ears I got here. I love them. And then, if it's particularly cool outside, we can zip this up. Just zip the zipper in there. Yep, and sometimes, as a matter of fact, just yesterday, I went on a walk outside wearing this. It was windy, so these on either side kept the wind out of my face. And it wasn't too warm where I was uncomfortable, but it kept me warm if there was a nice cool breeze that came by. It's one of my favorites. Do you have a piece of clothing at home that you really enjoy to wear? Wear it as much as you can, maybe? Yeah, that's how I feel about this one. Alright, what else we got to keep warm? Here's another one of my short sleeve shirts. This is one that I can work out with. You can actually see through the fabric. And when you can see through the fabric like this, did you see me? It means it is thin enough to keep you warm, but if you get too hot, it's able to keep your body temperature even. So you have that equality thing I was talking about. You're keeping it just the right temperature. So this is ideal if I go outside to run around or exercise, or I can exercise inside the house. It keeps me cool but warm at the same time, so just the right amount of temperature. Alrighty. Then I have another long sleeve shirt. Perhaps you've seen something like this in your house. Maybe mommy and daddy wear, or you yourself have a lot of long sleeve shirts. These are good to wear if it's particularly cool outside, especially early in the morning while the sun is still kind of rising up, and the night before it was really cool. You got this. And let's see, and of course, you got leggings, long leggings to keep your legs warm when it's not too cold outside. And lastly, another long sleeve shirt. Whoops. Did you know that when you're outside, when it's really sunny, let's say it's sunny outside and cold, if you wear dark clothes like this, like black or maybe brown or dark blue, the warmth from your body will stay near your body better, as opposed to if you wore like a white shirt or a brightly colored shirt. So if I went outside on a cold day, but it was sunny, and decided to wear this, I would be warmer if I wore this one. True story. So, lighter clothes means less heat stays in. Darker clothes means more heat stays in. Your natural body produces. Alright, one more little tidbit. One thing I wanted to mention, you may already know about this, but when it gets really warm outside, they start to open up swimming pools. Well, these days they may not be opening too many public swimming pools, but maybe your mommy or daddy has gone out and bought you a little swimming pool to help you keep cool, to help keep your body balanced in heat. What do you think? There are some very important things to remember before you go swimming. For example, you always need to put on your sunblock that Miss Mithril has misplaced at the moment, buried underneath all her clothes, perhaps. Note to self, don't lose anything. Don't even misplace things if you can't. My goodness. Da, 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 da. I was going to show you my sunblock. Well, I'll be darned. Missing that sunblock. Ah! So, when you have sunblock, like from a bottle or a tube like this, you want to open it up, and you're going to put just a little bit on your arm, and you're going to rub it in. Sometimes they're a different color. It depends on the type that you get. And when you rub it in, you want to rub and 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 rub everywhere on your body. Rub and rub and rub until you can't see it at all. So sometimes it'll be a white goop. Sometimes these days they do a fun purple goop. And you're going to put it everywhere on your face that the hot, hot sun can touch. Everywhere. Trust me, you don't want a sunburn, because that sun is so hot with its natural heat that it can burn your skin. It can singe it. And that doesn't feel good. It takes a couple of days to recover from. So always remember to wear your sunblock when you go outside, even if you're going to go for a little while. It's better safe than sorry. And especially if you're planning on doing some deep sea dive exploration in your swimming pool. Alright, so that is our activity for today. Oh, right! I also wanted to show the results of my telescope. trouble sometimes keeping these on top. As you can see, the sun's really wanting to, go away. Sometimes even the strongest material that we think, like the double-sided tape, doesn't stick well with other material. I think it's having a hard time sticking onto the dried paint. But here it is. I'm going to move the moon down here. Slide it up and down. And that is my Pirate's telescope. Do you see me? I really enjoyed making that. And if you made one for yourself, be sure to show me your pictures. I'd love to see what you created. Now, there wasn't anybody that had to worry about the heat much more than the pirates. Speaking of the pirates, that will lead into our tale for today. So let's go ahead and visit the scheduling board. Alright, we've had our fun part. Whoop. Moving on to the tale. Now, we've done a great job today keeping pace, but Miss Mithril is going to take a quick break at this point to get the story ready. And when we come back, we're going to continue the story with Wishbone in Salty Dog. Do you remember what the story was about? Pirates, that's right. And this little cute little puppy dog here is telling us the story from his perspective. Alright, let's go ahead and check off that fun chat time. Get your chicken fingers ready for me. 1, 2, 3. Check. Excellent. Alright, so now's a good time to go get some water. Maybe to help cool yourself down with. Or go give somebody a nice hug or a kiss. Mwah. Or go pet your animal if you have any. I will see you in just a couple of minutes. Enjoy this awesome music until then. Alrighty, pulling up my footstool just a little bit closer so I can relax better. When you're reading a story, it's always a good idea to be as comfortable as possible. When you're in the classroom, do you ever get to cuddle with puddles? Pillows, I mean? Maybe curl up with a blanket while you listen to your teacher tell a story? Sometimes they'll let you do that. Alright. So, as we learned some of the terminology last time, we'll learn a couple of new words real quick that pirates use to tell or communicate things. Doubloon, an old Spanish gold coin. Lay to bet on something. Quartermaster, a subordinate officer of a ship who takes care of mechanical and maintenance details. The stern, the rear portion of a ship, or the back of the ship. Alright, so, last we left our story, Jim Hawkins, or Wishbone. Oh, this is a really short chapter, actually. Wishbone was pretending that he was Jim Hawkins, the little boy that ran the inn with his mother. And the pirates came to take out the first pirate that was there, his old shipmate. But he had already passed away from a bad heart condition. He had a stroke, and that was because that he did a lot of things to not take care of himself very well. You remember the doctor, Dr. Livesey, told him, you need to stop, otherwise something bad could happen. Well, the pirates came and tried to take his treasure. Jim Hawkins' mom, or Wishbone's mom, had taken just enough money that was owed to them from his treasure chest beforehand. Let's see what happens now. Chapter 3. The others had run away like rabbits. Mother and I crept out of our hiding place and discovered that the riders were revenue agents looking for smugglers. Their leader, Mr. Dancy, said that he had to report to Mr. Trelawney, our local judge, and asked me to come along. I trotted along beside him up to the great house. In England, a squire is a rich man who owns a large estate of land, and our Mr. Trelawney was both rich and a landowner, so we called him Squire Trelawney, out of respect. When we got out there, we found that Dr. Livesey had come to have dinner. Squire Trelawney graciously invited us to eat before telling our story. Yum! Pass the chicken, pass the beef, pass the potatoes, pass the gravy, pass the kibble! When we had finished our meal, Squire Trelawney and Dr. Livesey listened to Mr. Dancy's report. When Mr. Dancy finished his account, the squire, a tall, strongly built, red-faced man, said, Mr. Dancy, you are a noble fellow. As for riding down that villain, I hold you blameless. It was an accident, and he was a dog, sir. I thought, I'm beginning to see a pattern here. Maybe I should tell the squire that dogs aren't really all that bad. When Mr. Dancy left, Dr. Livesey wanted me to tell my story. So both men listened to it with keen interest. Jim, the doctor said, do you have this thing that they were looking for? Here it is, I replied. I dropped the bucket onto the floor under the table. I jumped down from my chair and fetched it for him. Squire, Dr. Livesey said, taking the packet from my mouth. Have you heard of this Flint? Heard of him? The squire cried, sounding as excited as a pointer visiting a quail farm. He was the most bloodthirsty buccaneer who ever sailed the seas, and his treasure is supposed to be greater than Blackbeard's. Blackbeard was a child compared to him. He was the terror of the Spanish. He was... Come, squire, interrupted the doctor. You are so confoundedly hot-headed that I cannot get a word in. If this packet contains a clue to where Flint buried his treasure, will the treasure amount to much? Amount, sir, the squire shot back. It will amount to this. I will fit out a ship and take you and Hawkins along, and we will have the treasure if we have it to search a year. What? Treasure? Now, if this isn't an adventure, I wouldn't know if I'd smelled it. Very well, the doctor said. Now, if Jim agrees, I will open this packet. If I agreed? This was the adventure with a capital A! Open, 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 open! Yes, doctor, I told him, my tail wagging. Please do. The bundle contained of a book in a sealed envelope. The book's first page held the name Mr. W. Bones, mate. After that came columns of figures, sums of money, and other numbers. This is the account book, the squire observed. Every time the pirates captured a ship, Mr. Bones recorded the nautical position and his share of the loot. Now, for the other. The doctor opened the sealed paper packet, and out fell a map of an island with latitude and longitude, soundings, and names of hills, bays, and inlets. The men spread it open, and it held down a corner with my paw, staring at the chart as if it were fresh raw T-bone steak. The island was about 9 miles long and 5 miles across, shaped like a fat dragon standing up. I saw hills and woods, a small fort, and 3 crosses marked in red ink. Beside one of them was the note, "Bulk of the treasure here." Another read, "Bar silver here," and a third was labeled, "Arms." Directions for finding the hidden riches were scrawled on the back of the map. At the bottom, Mr. Bones had written that the map had been given to him in Savannah by Mr. J. Flint in the year 1754, 7 years ago. For last month we had celebrated New Year's Day for 1761. You know, that's a great idea that Captain Flint had. Remind me to make a map the next time I bury a bone in Wanda's yard. The squire was delighted. "Livesey, find another doctor to care for your patients. I'll go to Bristol and buy a ship. In 3 weeks, 2 weeks, 10 days, we'll have the best ship in England, and we'll sail to this treasure island and return rich as lords." "Trelawney," the doctor replied, "I will go, but I am afraid of one man." The squire's face grew bright red. "Who? Name the dog." I thought the squire was getting personal. I wished he would stop referring to bad people as cats. "You," the doctor exclaimed, "for you cannot hold your tongue. The men who attacked the inn tonight are desperate. If they should get wind of the fact that we have this map, they could become dangerous. You must not blab it about." "Livesey," the squire responded, "you are right. I will be as silent as the grave." That means he was telling him not to tell anybody their secret. The squire went to Bristol the next morning, and a few weeks later he sent a letter saying all was ready, and the doctor and I rode down in a speedy post-coach drawn by 4 sturdy horses. It was a good trip. I got to stick my head out the window with my tongue hanging out on the whole way. The moment we arrived and stepped out of the coach, the squire was there standing before us, dressed as a ship's officer and beaming all over his red face. He told us that he had bought a schooner called the Hispaniola. He had hired an experienced captain named Smollett, and a cook named Long John Silver, and an old Navy man who had been badly wounded in battle. Silver now kept a tavern called the Spyglass, but he longed to be back again at sea. "He's a good man, sir," Squire Trelawney said enthusiastically. "He knows all the sailors, and he helped me put together a fine crew." We walked near the waterfront. I was delighted to see ships of all nations. There were men who sang on deck while they worked, and others toiled high up in the rigging, like spiders crawling in their webs. I saw colorful figureheads, foreign flags, and sailors with rings in their ears, curly whiskers, and long pigtails. I took a deep breath and smelled tar. Salt! Adventure! The experience was wonderful. "Now, Jim," the squire told me, "I want you to run straight down to the street until you see the Spyglass Tavern. Nip inside and tell Mr. Silver we're ready for him, and then you and he shall come aboard." I scampered along on my errand as fast as my 4 legs could carry me. But before long, I noticed out the place a bright little tavern with a newly painted sign, red curtains, and a clean, sanded floor. I looked inside and saw a crowd of seafaring men. A moment later, a man came out on the side room, and I knew he must be Long John. I ran up to him, saying, "Mr. Silver, sir?" He turned to me with a wide smile. "Yes, lad, such be my name." His leg! He only had 1 leg! Captain Billy Bones had warned me about a seafaring man with 1 leg. I whimpered in surprise. "What is it, lad?" he asked, and I stared at him in horror. His left leg was cut off close to the hip, and he leaned on a wooden crutch. You have only 1 leg," I blurted out before I knew what I was saying. "What?" Silver shouted as he spun on his heel. "Thunder! Oh, which of ye swabs took my leg? Nobody leaves this here tavern until I find the thief that stole my leg. Hang on a minute. He turned back to me and winked. Come to think of it, matey, that leg was took off by a cannonball 12 leagues southeast of Panama 20 years ago. Probably a little late to look for it now, don't you think? He threw back his head and he laughed. Everyone joined in. I was embarrassed, but I could not help grinning. Long John's sense of humor startled me, but it made me want to laugh along. I'm sorry, I stammered. He clapped a huge hand on my back. Don't worry, lad. I lost that timber in the service of the king, God bless him. God bless King George, shouted a dozen or so of the men, lifting their glasses. Now, what's your errand? Silver asked, patting me on the head, right between my ears. My suspicions vanished, and why not? I thought I knew what pirates were like. Ugly, dirty, low-down, raggedy men who smelled angry and fearful. But they were nothing like Long John, who was tall, with blonde hair and a big, beefy, handsome face that was intelligent-looking and cheerful. He might have been a sturdy English bulldog, and he was a cook, so he smelled like steak and kidney pudding, bangers and smash, and bubble and squeak, and toad in the hole, all delicious English dishes. I had no idea these were ideal food dishes back then. Sir, I said, sitting near his foot, with my tail beginning to thump the floor, I mean to tell you to report to the Hispaniola immediately. He laughed once more. Oh, so you're our cabin boy, Jim Hawkins. He leaned down and shook my paw with a firm grasp. You're going to be a famous cabin boy, Jim. You're smart as paint. I can see that right off. A delightful fellow, this Long John Silver, so perceptive. We walked along the quay, and the salt-bleached wood warmed under my paws, and Silver told me about all the ships. He was one of the friendliest men I had ever met, and I was sure he would be a fine shipmate. As the water sighed, he pointed across the harbor. There she lies, Jim, the Hispaniola. A fine craft, is she not? I thought the Hispaniola was the most beautiful vessel in the harbor. She was a sleek schooner with 2 tall masses, shining white canvas sails spread fore and aft on them. Some men bustled on her deck, and others climbed in her rigging. She looked like a sleek bird ready to fly. Long John rowed us out to her, and as soon as I came aboard, I reported to the cabin, where the squire and the doctor were. I found them having an argument with Captain Smollett, a stern, angry-looking man with a blue coat and a 3-cornered hat. Well, Captain Smollett, the squire rumbled, you sent word that you were displeased. What have you to say? Just this, the captain replied. I don't like the crews, and I don't like the men. That's short and sweet. His tone was so harsh that I crept into a dark corner. Sit, I commanded myself silently. Stay. The squire began to sputter, but Dr. Livesey stepped in and said, Explain yourself, Captain. The captain said, I was hired on a sealed orders to sail anywhere you told me. I still don't know where we're headed, but every other man aboard seems to know. I don't call that fair. Do you? No, the doctor agreed. I don't. Where do the men think that we're headed? For treasure, sir, he glared at the other 2. I almost barked out loud in surprise. That was our deepest secret! Who could have blabbed about it? For some reason, I looked right at Squire Trelawney. His face turned very red. Livesey, I never told anyone about... Trelawney, the doctor replied. I know very well how much you like to talk. Well, the squire confessed, I might have let a single word slip, but that's enough, the doctor commanded. Captain, I'll tell you now, we are indeed hunting for treasure. Here's a picture. There's Wishbone as Jim Hawkins, and he's rowing with Long John Silver, the pirate. They had to get on that little boat in order to get to the big boat. Captain Smollett nodded grimly. I don't want to insult you, but neither of you gentlemen knows what you're doing. No more than the boy there. I put up my ears and cocked my head, thinking, Captain, don't jump to conclusions about me. I know exactly what I'm doing. Thank you very much. I'm sniffing out adventure on the high seas. Where are we mistaken? Dr. Livesey asked. The captain shook his head. You don't know how dangerous it is going to be. A treasure hunt is likely to be a life and death matter, and a close run for it. Now, I'll tell you what's what. I've never refused a command, but if you don't take precautions with this crew, I'll ask you to find another captain. What's wrong with my crew? The squire asked. I didn't choose them, the captain replied brusquely. They're too free and easy. They're supposed to be a new crew, but I can tell they've sailed together before. They know one another too well. Tell us what precautions you suggest, the doctor said. The captain looked hard at him. Well, sir, if you're going through with this voyage, I would suggest this. Take the gunpowder and the guns from the forehold and store them here instead, under your cabin, where you can control them. Have all your men sleep near your cabin to help in a pinch. Do you think the crew will turn on us? Squire Trelawney asked with concern, his face having turned as red as a beet. If I did, I'd refuse to sail, the captain answered flatly. So would any officer in his right mind. But if you'll do what I ask, I'll get you to your island safely. If not, please cancel my orders and find yourself another captain. A regular scaredy cat. Pretty cowardly captain, if you ask me. Which nobody did. Which, as things turned out, was probably just as well. You see, I didn't know how close Captain Smollett's warning was to the truth. Captain, the doctor said, you know your business. We will follow your instructions to the letter. Thank you, sir, said the captain. Well, Captain Smollett seemed to think some of the exciting times were ahead. I thought I'd play it safe and stick close to my Long Chong Silver's heels. Oops! Make that his heel. All the rest of the day we were very busy. I was standing on a barrel supervising as some men moved the gunpowder. When Captain Smollett saw me and shouted, Hey here, ship boy! Off to the cook and get some work! I'll have no favorites aboard this vessel. I went to find Long John, and I assure you, at that moment I hated the captain deeply. Off to a great adventure! Just what I always wanted. I can't wait to set paws on Treasure Island. But before I do, maybe I'd better get back to Sam, Joe, and David. They're off on an exploit of their own. Hope it's as thrilling as Jim Hawkins' voyage is going to be. And that's the end of Chapter 3. It seems that next time when we tune in to Chapter 4 next week, we will be reading more of what happened to Sam, Joe, and David. Remember, while we're reading the story of Wishbone pretending that he's Jim Hawkins from Treasure Island, he's also watching his friends, his human friends, having their own adventure. I happen to know what kind of adventure it is because I used to watch all the time when I was little, but I won't spoil the surprise. I want to say thank you so much for joining me today. Let's check up on our schedule one more time. We'll observe time. We first had our story, our fun, and now our tale. Get those checkmark fingers ready. Excuse me. Get those checkmark fingers ready for me. Oops. Let's move the numbers up a little bit. 1, 2, 3, and check. We're all done for today. Thank you so much, my little friends. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.